Alright, well, if you see us, welcome. We are Melonhead Games from Adelaide, Australia. So, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in. This here is Rooftop Renegade. This here is Melonhead Games. I am Alex.
I'm George.
And Pat.
I was your turn now. You're trying to strike it.
Alright,
So they're gonna... George and Pat at the moment are competing against each other, try and S-rank these levels as fast as they can. But this is gonna be their last one, because then they're gonna start from the beginning and talk you guys through it. So, Rooftop Renegade, it's changed the pitch so much, let's be honest with you guys, so bear with me. It's a fast-paced action platformer, geared towards making everyone feel like a speedrunner. Oh, Purple Ninja Girl. Oh, thank you. Purple Ninja Girl says it looks very pretty. Thank you. That's definitely something that's gone over through a lot of refinements over the roughly 2 years it's been in development. So yeah, we just launched the demo for this weekend to coincide with GDEX. So it's available right now if you guys want. Jump on, play it. We have a Discord as well. You can find that on the Steam page, on our websites, on our Twitter. Just Google Melonhead Games or Rooftop Renegade. You should be able to find it. People are posting their best times in there.
beating ours.
Yeah, beating ours. I'm terrible at this. I used to be really good at this, and now I'm just terrible.
I feel like you get into kind of like a zen state sometimes, and you just like beat everyone's times, and then you can't play it again for 2 months.
That's true. We had an incident once at AIRBOURNE, which is like Adelaide's version of GDEX. You'd say, I keep looking down here. I meant to be looking up here. Sorry. Where because this game gets like really competitive with speedrunners, and we were finding that they wouldn't leave the booth, and one spent all day getting a good score. I came in and within 5 tries just beat his score and felt so bad about it and had to tell him, nah, it wasn't A rank.
Nice.
So let's restart it. We're gonna go through, first we're gonna show off our proprietary delete function. Totally not proprietary. So we're gonna delete our records and we're gonna start again. So as if you guys are playing it for the first time. Get that mouse out the way.
Alright, George, would you do the honors?
I will take you through the tutorial.
I feel like you need it.
Yeah.
I need the tutorial, definitely.
George is the programmer, so normally he talks real quiet, so if it sounds like he's yelling, that's fine.
I'm trying to project
He's trying to project.
and be heard.
So right now this level is all about, as you see, you're learning the basics. Pat, you've been working on this tutorial for ages, not this particular one, it's been a lot of refinement. You want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so this final tutorial that's in the demo sort of came about in the last, I guess, 3 weeks or so before we made the demo live. Originally we were sort of really used to like playing this game at conventions and showing people ourselves and like teaching them how to play, so we had a tutorial but it required explanation. And then in the last few months we were like, oh wait, every event this year is going to be online, so we can't rely on us being there to sort of guide people through it. So we went for the approach of sort of teaching people the abilities a few times and then letting them sort of experiment with them. The first couple of times we got a bit heavy-handed with it, and there were like a lot of prompts, and it basically turned into a big quick time event where you just use each ability like 3 times in a row. No one had any idea what was going on, so I pulled back on that a bit, and then we just focused on having like teach an ability once and then let people sort of play with it and then teach them something else. So you can, like, once you know the game, you can come back and do everything out of order and find better ways to do things outside of how the game tells you. But first time through, you get a better feel for it.
Yeah.
I think here really highlights that, where you've got the gunner van that comes in. So the idea is there's a van chasing after her, and these guys on the side on this like hover motorbike, I think you call it.
Yeah. Again, another late addition.
they're sort of like shooting up the level to slow them down and get them captured because they really want to take her chrono kicks, which are the hover blades with these sort of special abilities.
And that's something we can see in the, if you guys saw it, the dialogue system that's appearing at the bottom, which recently got implemented, which Pat's real happy about because it means we can now show narrative, like you see right here. There's story now. So yeah, that's how a lot of the levels end. She gets to the portal at the end and get away, and I guess narratively appears in the next level. And good job, George, you S-ranked the tutorial.
I did it.
Alright, now Pat's going to be playing No Pressure, so this one won't hold your hand. You've basically seen the controls. We're skipping through it basically, like not replaying the tutorial because we've been playing it for 2 years. But there's no, you know, if you need to replay the tutorial, do that. We're finding that people need to replay it a couple times because there's not really a lot to it, especially if you played games like Sonic, what other platforms, heck, even Mario, you know, it still follows those basic rules of platforming, move left and right, as fast as you can.
I think our biggest difference is the dive, which is when you hit left trigger, or whatever your control scheme is, you can actually push yourself back down onto the ground.
Yeah.
It sort of lets you like have that extra control and bunny hopping. I'm using it pretty badly now.
Yeah.
But
It gives you that level of precision because you can jump over a hazard and hit like a very small window to be able to jump again. Whereas in some other games you just get stuck in that jump and you just kind of at the mercy of whatever your core character is.
Yeah, and that's another thing of where this game, near the start of development, started getting geared towards speedrunners. Not all speedrunners, but we wanted to tap in to make anyone feel like a speedrunner. And watching what kind of things they like to do, just like that, have that full control. And when they figured that out, that you can just drop down, increase your speed, they will be standing that. So, it hasn't been made clear yet. The goal is basically you need to get from one side of the map to the other as fast as you can level, as fast as you can, and you have Global Corp, which is the evil corporation represented by the two grunts in the bottom right corner. They're shooting up the level. They don't shoot you. That's a important differentiation. They don't shoot you. They try and shoot the hazards to try and slow you down. So let's see how we did in the score. Oh, I just missed out on S rank. 4,500 points for an S rank.
You need 4,501.
4,501.
Yeah, because if you get 4,500, it's still an A. Because if you got parkour, I'm going real sad. Because when I was trying, I S ranked everything else once the demo went live, and it was just the parkour level that I couldn't get an S rank on. And I finally hit 4,500 and was like, yes. And then the A came in, I'm like, no. And then thought about my code and was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I think it is actually greater than, not greater than equals. So.
Thank you. I'm gonna mess up the name. I'm gonna say go with Christian because that's at the end of your tag. Someone Christian says this looks so awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so that's the main core of the game. It's get through as fast as you can. Try not to get slowed down by the gunners shooting up the level. Also, George, go slow for a second.
Okay.
This is what happens if you go too slow. Don't get captured. The entire time you're being chased by another van. Or not another van. You're being chased by the van. Yeah. So if they slow you down too much, you're going to get captured. And as you see, it goes into like that bullet time, slow reaction, gives you time to get out of there.
Then it gives you a chance to use an ability. So if you realise you have the energy for boost, then shift away.
Yeah, the van actually gets more aggressive on higher difficulties. So here it sort of gives you a bit of a window, like unless you slam into a few things, you probably won't get captured on this kind of difficulty. But as you get to the hard mode, it's like one or two mistakes and you're gone. Yeah.
That's a disrupt rail, so if she grinds along one of those, it shocks the gunners and shuts them down for a few seconds. They can't shoot. Purple Ninja Girl says, "Oh, I just thought the character's running speed was locked, like an infinite runner. You've all just been running full tilt the whole time." Is all. Yeah, we have actually experimented with that in the past, with it being an auto runner, because for that reason of, majority of the time you're holding the stick towards the right, but we just found that auto runner doesn't really work with this game. Pat, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's still like having the control stick still gives you that extra level of control. Like, there are times when you want to push the double back and go a different way and things like that. Generally, people feel more invested when they're actually moving. It's like a racing game, I guess. You could put cruise control on the whole time, but most of the time you want to be able to adjust your speed a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, the actual GDEX commented. I didn't know you were a person, GDEX, but glad to have you. This gameplay of the gunner sold the game for me. Keep up the awesome work, oh, thank you. Oh, that's really nice.
Actually, something to elaborate on with the gunners. In the full version of the game, we have a multiplayer mode.
Yes, that's important to stress.
You can have up to 3 people playing as the gunners, and they actually have to like manually shoot up the level.
Yeah.
So there'll be these guys, and there are different loadouts. There's a sniper, a machine gun, and then like a sort of rocket launcher pod thing. And in that mode, you sort of take turns. So one player will be the runner, and then at the end of that round you'll switch, and the next player will be the runner. And at the end of all 4 runs, you sort of tally up your like damage points from being the gunner, and also your time from being the runner. And that's how you'll get the final win.
Yeah. It's almost like those 1 versus 3 Mario Party mini games.
And that was the original mode of the game, because when we first made this, it was for the first game down. We made the build in 48 hours and came up with a fun game. And that first build was just multiplayer as a proof of concept.
If you YouTube Rooftop Renegade maybe multiplayer, you'll see there are some videos recorded of the actual multiplayer. It just takes it to a different level. It's almost like a completely different game, because especially when we take it to conventions, that's when even in single player people get really competitive, but in multiplayer it's a fun competitive. They'll bring their friends or we play with them, and when they realize that they're not on the same team, when they're against everyone's against each other, then it gets real competitive.
Unfortunately, it's been quite hard for us to showcase the multiplayer mode this year. We've built it local multiplayer only, so it's all couch multiplayer.
He's only gone and done it. S rank, boostering blitz.
Should I go straight to parkour?
No.
How long have we got?
Actually, that's a good question. We're about halfway through. Oh, can you do SKYHIGH tour?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a different level. This is the polar opposite level of what we were just playing before. So that one, Cyber City, was a dark, gritty, underworld. This is completely different. This is a resort in the sky. Everything's round edged. It's all peaceful, but it's still owned by the evil Global Corp, so they're still after you.
Without the headphones on, I feel like I'm really missing out right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're new to the streaming game, so we haven't got the perfect setup, so these guys can't hear the sound.
I can hear it in my head.
Yeah, you can hear it in his head.
Clearly enough.
Yeah.
I have to say, Blasm is also my favourite.
Yes. The composer John Ostman, who's on Twitter as well. If you want to give him a follow, he's done an incredible job with the music. Another local Adelaide person.
Adelaide, South Australia.
Adelaide, South Australia.
That's a thing, like being Australians, we're used to people kind of knowing exactly where we're from. So we say Adelaide, like everyone knows exactly where that is.
But yeah, he's made the music in a way that if you're doing really well, the music track gets a little better. It's called the flow state. You start getting basically the solo of the music. It's like a reward for doing well, basically.
That level of play just kind of build up the hype and give you that sense that you are doing well. in this building. In this track, in particular, the reason I like it is we get that electronic solo kick in. I'm a big fan of that.
GDEX said it's the same way explaining Ohio. Yeah, that's a good question. Like, I'm pretty sure Ohio is the state? Or is it the city?
Oh, you're close. You almost got the S. So
Also, good morning, Cookie Carrot.
38 points off.
Oh, should I go again? No, you're shot.
Yeah. I might go to
It's the state.
PARKOUR, because, like, just like rip it off like a band-aid.
What's the main city in Ohio? You're giving Americans too much credit if you think that most Americans know South Australia is actually a state and not just the general southern part of Australia.
That's kind of how we do our states in Australia anyway. We just kind of like put grid lines through it and we're like, this is the south bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Australia's a funny one because geographically, we're about the same size as America, and Columbus is where okay, so I've definitely heard that in the movies, Columbus, Ohio. Yeah, you're not hearing Adelaide, Australia in many movies. Unless you watch The Babadook. The Babadook is filmed in Adelaide. And yeah, and you can yeah, Adelaide has such a niche little film group that anyone who's in film worked on that. Like even the people from Raka Raka, who are like a big YouTube channel, they were the runners and the drivers on that. Like they just scrounged anyone they could.
So this level specifically gives a lot of people trouble. There's this came sort of later in development than some of the other levels, and it came with this new hazard, which is the hype zap gate, and it's become kind of like the bane of people's existence. Like,
Yeah.
and because from the start I wanted this level to be hard, so I just build it with those kind of hazards. Like you have to kind of dive and slide and boost around quite a bit more than some of the other levels.
Yeah.
George in particular usually struggles with this one, from what I hear.
I've had to practice this level a lot. I don't know what it is about it. Like all the others, I can quite reliably in strength. It's just not. I just can't. It's possible. I've extracted it, but I can't reliably do it. I think it's things like this where you get those out against trying to like shit.
Maybe I just was like mad at you one day, and that's why I built this level.
I got relatively fast. Like I can consistently get like 4,400.
That's exactly it, Purple Ninja Girl.
Hmm?
She said, she's talking about Australia, saying, it's like they named the east coast of Australia, but then just described the rest of it. That's very true. Half the country is Western Australia.
So we started here, the rest is just over there.
Yeah.
I love how we have the direction and the name for all of them except Queensland and New South Wales. They're on the right side.
Yeah.
Like Western Australia, Northern Territory, or South Australia, just on the right. Queensland. We don't have these.
So one thing that's definitely that we've been conscious of is the player feedback, as in what you can see on the screen and how that reacts to you running. We've been lucky to be able to run a whole bunch of like public playtest events. Been to a couple AdCons, so as I said before, it's the same as your GDEX. Also at PAX last year, PAX Oz. So we've had a bunch of people playing it. So that's really reflected in the movement. Movement you have full control over. Like it feels really fluid. Like, and that's not an accident. That's taken these two guys a lot of work to nail that together. So yeah, there's that, and then there's also the UI elements, which is still always going to be a work in progress, trying to figure out how people are looking where they are, because everyone plays a game differently. So the biggest, I don't want to say hurdle, because it's working pretty good now, but realizing when your tank is full. So all these moves are powered by the crystals. The crystals charge up that meter in the top left corner. It also makes her glow more. Thank you, Purple Ninja. She says it shows the movement looks so smooth. Yeah, it really is. And me saying that isn't a brag.
So close.
That's definitely these guys two working really hard on that.
Airborne dash.
Yeah, we'll do another Raz and level. Very couple of them in there.
Yeah.
So here, we're actually going to have separate loadouts, and they're going to have sort of slightly different tweaked stats for the different abilities. So if you like using the shift more than boost, there might be a loadout that sort of specializes in that. Now we just have the sort of stock standard starter set.
I'm definitely keen to make a loadout that has that focus on the shield. Because one of the things I've been experimenting with is a invulnerability state. After the shift itself makes you invincible for a short period of time. Unless you get past that gate, so that is up and in some of those instances, the pipe out gates where you take the weapon and you need to train them. There's just no way to jump them, and the only way to get past them and stop is
Yeah. At the moment, that's a boost, and then the shift comes up. Say, so then you know 100% which one which is.
Actually, I don't need to shift that much in this thing.
There you go. That's a shift.
So you kind of phase out the distance for a short period of time, and gives you that ability to get through some hazards that you won't do otherwise. And production against slowed by certain things like the sun and the styles. Whereas the boost will give you more momentum and more speed, so that's the one that is primarily you want to get faster times. In some instances, you can do certain hazards. And the final ability is not just the speed boost.
As you probably see, there's different hazards in the different worlds, and they're unique to each world. Stuff like the boost rings, they're still the same, but they're just a reskin. I shouldn't say just a reskin. They're a reskin.
A reskin made with love.
A reskin made with love.
Yeah.
Woo! It's only gone and done it. 69 points. Nice.
Alright, you want to go parkour again?
It hurts my soul. I need to S rank it.
That motorbike flying in, that is a really late addition. As in, within the last month. Before then, it was another van, which you'll still be able to see in the multiplayer.
There is actually another one that does have the vans. Because you have two guys.
Oh yeah?
This one.
Oh, it is this one. There it is. There's the van. Okay, so that motorbike was just there to patrol.
So I guess this gives you sort of a slight feel of what it looks like in the multiplayer when you've got multiple gunners.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
I think it's pretty chaotic.
So you have like up to 3 crosshairs going around the screen. And then each gunner has their own special ability. So the sniper has bullet time that can slow down time. And the machine gunner will auto-target everything, not everything, but most things that are on screen.
There's full Rambo.
Full Rambo, yeah.
You got really lucky that
I did get really lucky then. I was just watching them waiting for when they shot and didn't shoot anyone.
I love that like anxiety when you see a bunch of them in a row. Like, please don't shoot it. Please don't shoot it.
The thing I get anxious about is just that when I go to jump into the screen and by the time I hit it, the verticals come up.
If anyone has any questions about anything, feel free to pop it in the chat and we'll answer what we can.
It's not that's right.
No, it's not. I need, you need, what time will we getting? Like 141? With like the S ranks?
I think so.
If you get enough shots, like 173
Actually, that's my question. What determines an S rank? What's in the guts of the game? What's tallying up the scores?
So there's a few different things. So each of these levels has its own part-time, which is... It's not really a part-time, it's like the minimum amount of time we'd expect before points start getting deducted. The way I programmed it is I think the maximum points you can get for time is 5,000, but there's no way you'll get 5,000 points because the time you need for that, like 40 seconds, that's just not actually doable. But we try to calibrate it so that if after a certain amount of time we'll start deducting points so that you can get that kind of S rank one. Other things that will contribute to your points are the shards. Each shard you collect gives you 5 points from memory. And then you will notice a bit of inconsistency between time the scoring for times between those different part times. So there's a different window that will points up and give up each enough for them to screw and get
Which is something that fairly recently, once the system was all refined and cleaned up, I sort of went into the back end of each level and was like, nah, it's too easy to get S rank on all these, and I just kind of made it so that if we had trouble getting S ranks, then they were perfect. Like, we've been playing this for like a couple of years now, and like we're not, speedrunners ourselves, but we know the game well enough to be able to get those ranks if we try.
Yeah.
But we were kind of getting S ranks without thinking, and I wasn't going to have any of that. So now this level's really hard.
But we know it's possible. Like we have got S ranks on before.
Just before we wrap up, just to say, if you basically like what you see, please follow us on social media. On Twitter, we're Rooftop Renegade, but also Melonhead Games. So if you search one of those, you'll find it. Facebook, Instagram, we're incredibly active on all the channels. Also the Discord, which you can find links to on our website, rooftoprenegade.com, or through the Twitter. Like, you should be able to find links to that pretty much anywhere. Definitely drop in, say hello. If you got the demo, post your best times. But yeah, we'd love to have you along.
It's worth mentioning for anyone who's tuned in over the course of it, there is a demo currently live on Steam. You can go pick it up and play it. We launched the demo to coincide with GDEX.
It is a limited time demo as well. Limited time. It's looking like we'll be wrapping it up about start of November. So get in.
Get in while you can.
And we did get a question. What's each of your favourite levels to play?
As much as I hate it, parkour, as much as I struggle with it, I love it because I have trouble with it. And it challenges me to try and use everything.
Whoop.
There's like a
Whoop.
almost frame perfect thing you can do there where you can get through between the bootstring and the back.
Alright.
Me, it's got to be Airborne Dash. That, like, when that guitar solo kicks in on Rising Resort, it's just like, it may not be the hardest level, but it makes you feel like the most badass to me. Like, you just kind of, that sense of speed.
Yeah. If you ask me what my favorite music was, the Rising Resort soundtrack. But I just love this level because it's so intense.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, GDEX, for having us, letting us do this stream. It's been awesome seeing the other developers and the games and being part of the Discord, the GDEX Discord. So, yeah, thank you for having these 3 Australian kids. And enjoy your dinner.
Wait, we should have breakfast at some stage.
Yeah, it's really early here. Awesome. Well done.
Thank you.
That's my mom.